Hi students, Mrs. Sims here. I'm sorry that I'm not there today. I am at a training for the next 2 days. So you're going to have some video lessons today and tomorrow. For today's lesson, you are looking at adding and subtracting decimals. We've been doing a review with fractions. We did all fraction operations last week. We're going to do some decimals this week, just a review of how to add, subtract, multiply, and divide with decimals. So if you don't already have it, take out your fraction review packet, find this page. This is the back of the one that says what you already know or what you already learned. You're finding the section that says adding and subtracting decimals. So make sure everyone has that out. If you need an extra packet, there are some on the cart at the front of the room for you to grab if you have misplaced your packet. But make sure everybody has a packet in front of them and has found the adding and subtracting decimals page. So as a review, when you're adding and subtracting decimals, there's one thing that you have to remember. I bet you already know what it is. When you're adding and subtracting decimals, the main thing that you have to remember is to line up the decimal points. That is really the key to adding and subtracting with decimals, is to line up the decimal points so that you're adding the numbers that are in the same place value. So if we do this first example, 12.3 plus 8.05, we write 12.3 and then we write 8.05. We've made sure to line up the decimal points so that the hundredths place is being added, the tenths place is being added, the ones place, the tens place, so that you're adding the same things. So when I go to add these, there's nothing here, but if I want, I can add a 0 here, and that does not change the value. 12.3 is the same as 12.30, so it's okay to add a 0 there, and then you just add straight down. So 0 plus 5 is 5, 3 plus 0 is 3. The decimal point just moves straight down. 2 plus 8 is 10, carry the 1, and 1 plus 1 is 2. So that is 20.35. It is exactly the same when you're subtracting. You have to line those up as well. So again, write them vertically. So 18.3 minus 3.05. Now again, to keep the place values in line, if you want to add a 0 here so that you have the same number, it does help and it doesn't hurt because it doesn't change the value at all. So now we're subtracting. So 0 minus 5, I can't take 5 from 0, so I'm going to have to borrow from here, change that to a 2. That becomes a 10. So 10 minus 5 is 5. 2 minus 0 is 2. Decimal point comes straight down. 8 minus 3 is 5. And 1 minus, there's basically like a 0 here. 1 minus 0 is 1. So 15 and 25 hundredths. What I want you to do in the section below where it says try it yourself, I'd like you to pause the video and you try number 1 and number 2 on your own. So I'll leave the examples on the screen, but pause the video and do number 1 and number 2. Okay, hopefully you have tried number 1 and number 2 on your own. So let's see how you did on those. Remember, the main thing we have to keep in mind is that we line up those decimal points. So I've lined up the decimal point. The 1 and the 3 are stacked on top of each other. I can add a 0 here. I could add a 0 here if I wanted. The decimal point is going to come straight down, and then we're just going to add. 2 plus 0 is 2. 1 plus 3 is 4. The decimal point moves straight down. 7 plus 6 is 13. Carry the 1. And 3 plus 1 is 4. So on that one, raise your hand if you got 43 and 42 hundredths. Hopefully that is a lot of you. And then on the second one, when we're subtracting, again, line up the decimal points. So we have 55.4, and we're going to subtract 4.35. Okay, now there's nothing above the 5, so I'm going to add a 0 right there before I do my subtraction so that everything has something lined up with it. So I can't take 5 from 0, so I'm going to borrow from here, make that a 3, make this 0 a 10. 10 minus 5 is 5. 3 minus 3 is 0. Decimal point moves straight down. 5 minus 4 is 1, and 4 minus nothing or 0 is 4. So hopefully you got 41 5/100ths on that one. Now to practice this, in your packet, the next page has mixed operations with decimals. So you could go through and do any that have addition and subtraction with them. Go ahead and skip the multiplying and dividing for now, but just find the ones on this sheet where they are adding or subtracting to practice today. And then also the next page in your packet, this one right here, it gives you kind of the lesson again, line up the decimal point, how to add, how to subtract by lining up those decimal points. And then it should be this whole front side is practicing addition and subtraction. So you've got the first couple are done for you, and then you start practicing, it looks like at number 6. So for today, that's what I want you doing. Remember, I am collecting and grading this packet. So today you are focusing on addition and subtraction with decimals, this adding and subtracting decimals review page, and any that have addition and subtraction on this page. Please work hard, stay in your seat, and if you finish this early, then you may work on big ideas. There is an assignment in big ideas that you can also practice these things on, or you could do any of your fraction practice pages from last week.